That's right. So moving here into game number 1 on Antigua Shipyard. This is going to be a match between Sen and XY. And up here in the upper left-hand corner of the map, the best superstar Zerg coming out of Taiwan. It's Gamania.Sen. And his opponent coming from Invictus Gaming. This is XY. We have a classic battle of Taiwan Zerg versus China Terran. It's going to be quite a battle.
It is, man. And XY has actually been performing pretty well. He was stopped, I think, in the China Nationals by Tudming, and that was in something like the lower bracket final. So this guy made an incredibly deep run through the WCS China Nationals, was stopped at a very, very late stage of the tournament after he had already qualified. Yeah. And he certainly has a couple of tricks up his sleeve. He's definitely not someone that Sen can just sweep aside. I don't really think this match is entirely predictable. It'll be great to see which one of these guys comes out on top as Sen goes for that hatchery first.
Well, we know that Sen can hang with the best. Earlier today, he actually took down Maya from Team Slayers.
Very much so. He's he can mix it right up there with a lot of Koreans. I mean, a lot of people... I think it's because people don't see Sen that often because he plays in the Taiwan leagues. A lot of people sort of write him off after they haven't seen him for a while. But this guy's constantly practicing, constantly playing in high-level games. And with his first win of the day over Slayers, Maya, as you were mentioning, has shown us that he's perfectly capable of throwing down that gauntlet and mixing it with the best of them, Korean or otherwise.
Absolutely correct. Now, this is one of the first big international events that we've seen Sen at in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Very long time. So it's nice to see him get out here onto that international stage and fight against his other Asian brethren in the StarCraft 2 scene.
For sure. I think the level of competition is really underestimated in Asia. I mean, Taiwan, sort of everywhere that is non-Korea, it's actually really, really competitive. And China and Taiwan in particular are producing so many, maybe not quite like Code-S top drawer sort of players, but pretty darn close to that sort of standard on occasion. And it's really good to see these guys basically all here in one place. It'll be great to see if one of these dark horses makes a huge, deep run through this Asia Finals bracket. But in the meantime, guys, in this particular game, we had a hatch first coming out from Sen. We saw the 1 Rax expand into double gas coming out from XY. So he's probably going to be putting down a factory at some point very, very soon indeed. And there we go. We should be seeing a reactor probably on that barrack and going for that Hellion base play.
Oh, and why would he not?
Exactly.
We see just how important those Hellions can be. I mean, yeah, you talk about how, well, you know, queen range, la la la, it's easier for them to protect their creep tumors, but you still need to make sure that you can kill them when you can.
Absolutely, and the Hellions at the end of the day, if left unchecked, are a very potent force to be reckoned with. That's a great point you make there, Rob. And really, Sen still has to be on his toes. Of course, he can always just make a couple extra queens. It wouldn't be entirely out of the ordinary to see, for example, a Spinecrawler going out, but it looks like early 4 queens from Sen is going to be the order of the day here, and he will be able to... Ooh, very nice. Picking off the SCV from XY before it even gets close to the base, and forcing these 3 Marines to get back. This was always going to be a little bit of fake pressure coming out from XY. It's not like he had a double proxy racks or anything like that. He's just going to be opening up reactored Hellions into Starport, but ideally he wanted to be able to come up to the front and maybe harass a queen or two, hopefully pick off a creep tumor, maybe even a drone if he's lucky with that SCV in the first couple of Marines. That is no longer possible. Sen's completely shut it down.
He is, and behind this, Sen is going to be taking that third base of his back there. As he continues to drone up, he is not too worried about anything right now. And having those 4 queens means that he is going to be able to have enough to potentially deal with the incoming Banshee threat.
Yeah, the Banshees from XY, this is a fairly typical Terran opening. We can see the Hellions now just going to be checking to make sure a third base is up, but I'm not really comfortable with him just sort of sitting here attacking the third base. These queens at the end of the day are going to be able to drive them away. XY should be able possibly to get those Hellions into the natural to sort of see exactly what's going on here, but we have got a bit of SimCity already coming up from Sen. Note that his Lings are positioned on the top of the ramp here in perfect position to try and surround those Hellions if he attempts to get one in sideways. So we'll wait and see what XY has planned, but these Hellions haven't yet done what I think he would otherwise want them to do. And oopsie daisy, Sen actually losing an overlord down here on the bottom of the map. A little bit sloppy with that. Doesn't get supply block though. He had a couple more in production.
No, he's got extras. He doesn't have to worry about it. And here he is upgrading that 1-1 for his melee ground forces, and also adding on a couple of spore crawlers as well. So he's going to be more than prepared when the Banshee does inevitably make its way across the map. The first Banshee now just starting to move out here over towards the left. Has he started a spore at the third?
Yes, he has.
All
And
right.
the spore is actually about to finish as well. So good reactions there from Sen, seeing that, well, hang on a second. I've seen a couple of Hellions. Not too many, of course. You only came in with 2 for starters. But because you don't exactly have a billion Hellions, you're probably not going really quick double reacted factory or something like that. Only 1 kill on this Banshee before moving out. So he goes, well, hang on a second. That might be where your gas is going. So I'm just going to make sure I'm covered against the Banshee threat. And that's exactly the correct thing to do in this case. Sen putting down those spore crawlers early on, and XY just not really getting much done with his early game harass.
No, and he is not overprotecting from this, right? Sen only built those 2 spores, and that has been all that he has done to protect from this, aside from the rest of the queens that he already has in play. Now, obviously, little does XY know that really that natural is pretty well undefended as far as the air threats go.
Yeah. And
but when you deny them so handily out at the external bases, right, because you make that triangle, if you deny them out on the left and the upper side, they're not going to be willing to push beyond that.
That's exactly what I was about to say, actually, Rob. That's a really, really good point. You just want to make sure the periphery of the 2 bases are covered, and all of a sudden this base in the center isn't really going to be subject to any sort of Banshee harass anytime soon. It looks like a drone over there is going to be making a building because the layer is about to finish, and there goes the Spire immediately. So Sen going straight up to all of his gases, already up onto 6 gas, and this is a byproduct of the early 4 Queens build that we saw Sen go use in this particular game, is that the number of creep tumors out in the middle of the map right now is approximately over 9,000. And that tends to be super useful.
That is a lot of creep tumors.
That's a lot, man. Like, really, really good. And he's just continuing to spread into the center there. A couple of Hellions actually getting caught out in the middle of the map.
Oh, man. XY getting a little sloppy with those Hellions. As a matter of fact, losing 1 now. Sen has done phenomenal defending all of those creep tumors. But, oh, no. Did he morph all of them up? And
yes,
a single scan will decimate. Okay, he's got a good amount down at the bottom as well. But XY not worried about scanning out those creep tumors. Instead, using a Viking around the top of the map as he pushes down onto the 4th of Sen.
Yeah, but I like this Viking as well, trying to prevent Sen from having any sort of map control because he doesn't want him to be able to scout with those overlords. So the 1 Viking just scouting around will be able to annoy Sen. It means that Sen won't have very much foresight into exactly what is going to be happening with XY later. Now, it turns out this little push may be a little bit overextending here from XY, going on to creep just for a second. The Viking does manage to get an overlord kill, but he is pushed away from the center of the map, and the 4th base is now coming out for Sen. We've got 3 bases now up for XY, though, so he has been keeping up in his macro. The current worker count's 87 workers for Sen versus 71 of XY. So Sen's going to be happy to sort of sit here and macro up as much as he can, and a whole bunch of mutas are about to pop out.
That's right, 12, as a matter of fact, popping out. Now, the Viking does know that the Spire is there, but he doesn't know just how big this mutalist threat is going to be. Yeah. Oh, and Sen's going to close in immediately onto the Viking, get rid of that annoying thing.
If the Viking didn't know before, he knows now, man.
Yeah, he did show quite a few of those mutalisks.
He did. He just like A-moved all of the mutalisks towards the Viking, and as the Viking died, he sort of looked out the window and went, you know what, it might actually be better that I'm going down now, because I don't want to have to deal with this later. A grand total, ladies and gentlemen, of 12 mutalisks heading towards the main base.
Oh, but there are just so many missile turrets denying those mutalisks from getting into the main and really reaping the havoc that they would so like to.
Now, Sen is doing something I really like here, Rob. What he's going
What's
for...
What's he doing?
He's making about 30 link. And the reason I like this is because his creep is spread out so far across the map. We haven't had scans denying all this creep yet. So he's going to try and use these links and these Bane links to do pressure against XY. And frankly, that looks like a bit more than pressure to me. That looks absolutely huge. And the reason he can get away with this is because he's taken the middle of the map. He doesn't want XY to randomly take this base apart. He probably wants to expand here where the hatch is about complete. And he might even attempt to go for these kind of locations here, or even this base down here. And the best way to get away with doing something like that is to constantly make sure you're opponent is in his base. So I like the fact that he's made all of these lings. I think Sen is going to get to a point where he wants to get to a point where he can just continuously remax these lings and keep sending them into XY while mining more minerals than he's. And we can see they're roughly even at the moment, but Sen has more bases worth of real estate he can use, and in the long run that's going to tell. A Banshee and what looks like very, very quick dispatch there, but a drop full of Marines coming towards a third base location as well, and Sen is maxed out in the middle of the map. The only thing he can do to improve this army right now are upgrades, but they're already at 2-2.
All right, now Sen is in a pretty solid spot here. Really, the race is on for XY because he's got to get in and do at least a little bit of damage so that Sen just can't continue to expand behind all this. I mean, Sen's already up to just about those 5 bases. The drop is completely denied by Sen on the left side before it's able to reach fruition.
Yeah, and this is looking pretty good for Sen. I mean, his creep spread just hasn't been touched all game long, and he's basically surrounded XY's base with creep. And it's getting to the point now where the creep spread is so prolific that you're going to need so many scans to get rid of all of this creep spread. It's going to be completely unreal. Even trying to float a command center over there, and Sen's like, ha, no way, you can't get away with that. And it looks like this engagement's about to begin.
Oh, and here it comes. All the banelings just rolling in. Wow, a lot of them getting focus fired down by those siege tanks. Just so many died, but is it going to be enough? There are still so many banelings remaining. As we see most of, whoa, that was unfortunate for Sen. A lot of those banelings crashing directly into the beast that is the Thor. And now there are only Marines left to fight this solo Mutalisk army.
But 166 Zerglings, ladies and gentlemen, are in production. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Sen wants to get to a point where he simply has the money and the capacity to non-stop remax, and that's exactly what he's doing. This is like the July Zerg switch that has just gone on. He's back up to 200 supply. Yes, there's a bunch of Marines moving out across the middle of the map, but Sen has lings absolutely everywhere, and everything here is going to get surrounded. There are no siege tanks for that splash damage against these lings.
Oh, no.
This is annihilation in the world.
Right. A large amount of the supply that makes it look like XY is still in this game is, a matter of fact, in production. So that means that Sen is just crushing through the small amount of active units that XY has out on the map, and now here he is going straight for that third. If he keeps down the economy of XY, he's not going to be able to do much to stay in the game. The Zerglings are just striking him from all sides and ripping him to pieces.
And Gamania.Sen now a 164 supply to the 101 of XY, actually microing those SCVs quite well to get them out of harm's way. But at the end of the day, Sen's going to go back home and be like, well, you know what? I think I feel like maxing out again. And here we go, more and more Zerglings and Banelings in production. We're going for round 3, ladies and gentlemen. XY is not quite knocked out yet, but Sen looking like he might be in a position to do so. Only 11 workers killed, but as the ranks of XY slowly start filtering out, I think the next wave of attack could do a lot of damage, Rob.
It most certainly could, and he hasn't gone to rebuild those walls. Up at that third, there is nothing there that's going to prevent those lings and banelings from getting up there and having free reign over the unprotected workers. Now Sen has started moving his army away. Maybe he's going to try to bait XY into saying, yeah, sure, you can have that base.
Yeah.
All right. And then just destroy it.
There's so many units out absolutely everywhere on the map of Sen at the moment. +2 flyer attacks nearly complete as well, and he's getting 3-3 on his lings. I'd like to see, do we have adrenal glands? Let me just do a quick double check. No, adrenal glands haven't been researched. Say late game Zerg players everywhere, but it might not matter. Here we go, 189 to 140 supply. The Banelings coming in. A lot of them actually dying needlessly for that siege tank fire, but so many lings following it up. XY is a fantastic spread, it has to be said, but Sen just trading so well, man.
Yeah, and we've got Sen still out here with a pretty much overwhelming army to destroy what little bit remains of XY's broken and bruised force. There we have that siege tank up on the cliff getting picked off, and now those Mutalisks can just have their way with whatever they'd like.
And Sen choosing once again to move back.
Choosing to win the war of attrition instead, yeah.
Well, when you have another 60 Zerglings in production, you sort of start thinking to yourself, well, why the heck not? No problem at all. And the other great thing these Mutalists have been doing is they've been shutting down drops left, right, and center as well. So even though XY is trying to get back into this game edgeways to see if he can actually sort of trick Sen, if you like, into giving him a little bit of a lead again, or giving up, rather, some of the massive advantage he has at the moment. Sen's just having absolutely none of it. He's like, well, I'm just going to remax, and I'm going to keep going until you leave the game. And there's not too much XY can do about it at this point.
Well, he's going to get mined out eventually, so really he's going to have to make some sort of last-ditch push, because man, if something mines you out fast, it's certainly mules.
Oh, and here we go. Oh my god, the Banelings are looking insane, Rob, and they're going to be moving in. C-Tank once again doing a very good job at killing off a decent number of them. But
whoa, surprised that he stopped and dilly-dallied a little bit. Pulling back like that really hurt him, but it does not matter because XY